Hello everyone, welcome to the TeachNest YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about the 7th class topic, the ever evolving world of science. So what you know about science? What is science? So this science comes from the Latin word scientia, meaning means that is knowledge. Okay. So then what is science? Science is the process of asking questions, observing the natural world, and testing ideas to understand how and why things work. So, in science, everything starts with a curiosity. So, let me ask you one question. Have you ever noticed how things around us keep changing? How things around us keep changing. A few years ago, many people use simple mobile phones. Today, we have smartphones that can take photos, show maps, play videos, and even help us to study. How did this happen? So, the answer is simple. That is science. That everything happening because of science. So, science is the study of the world around us. It helps us understand the nature, solve problems, and make new discoveries. But science is not fixed. Science is not fixed. It keeps growing and changing. That is why we say that science is ever evolving, which means it is always developing and improving. Okay, so science is everywhere around us, physics, chemistry, and biology. So in all the subjects, we have science. Okay, to build the technologies and solve the problems we face every single day. So even the simplest act like a turmeric stain turning red with soap is a chemical reaction. So there we can see the chemistry. Okay. So long ago, people believed that people believed that the earth was flat. The earth was flat. So scientists observed, experimented, and gathered evidences. Later, they discovered that the earth is round. This shows that scientific knowledge improves when new evidence is found. So what happened? In the earlier, they believed that earth was flat. Scientists observed and they experimented and gathered evidences. Later, they discovered that the earth is round. This shows that scientific knowledge improves when new evidence is found. So here we can see daily applications of phone science. Okay. So here the first one is every day, every minute we have phones in our hands. So what happens with the phones? It connects us globally, instantly, using physics, maths, and chemistry. Then comes electricity. We need it very much and should in our daily lives. Powers our homes and schools through the flow of energy. Without electricity, we can't do anything in this today's world. Then comes medicine. Medicine keeps us healthy, repair our body, and cures our diseases and extends our lives. So here, one extra note, a smartphone uses physics for signals, chemistry for the battery, and mathematics for the coding. So here how the smartphones are made here, they have given. So what happens? It uses physics for the signals, chemistry for the battery, and maths for the coding. Next, what does ever evolving means? So ever evolving means constantly changing, improving. We never stop learning. Okay, we never stop learning. When we find new evidence, old ideas get updated. So science is not fixed here. So it keeps growing and changing. That is why we say that science is ever evolving, which means it is always developing and improving. Okay. So then, the journey of progress, that is transformation, how the transformation has happened. So before we were not having even a matchsticks. Okay, so people used to scratch to get a fire. Huh? Then they used wheels, that is ancient invention of the wheel. Okay, then industrial steam engines and mass transit, that is used as a trains. Then comes the modern, that is aeroplanes, rockets and smart technologies. So the invention of the wooden wheel, so they used wooden wheel in the ancient days. Now we have all tire wheel. Okay, Mesopotamia changed human history forever by drastically reducing friction. Okay, so how ideas change, the process it comes, how the process goes, how the idea changes every day, every minute. Okay, first what happens, we observe, we notices something interesting. So the first thing, we have to have the curiosity within us. So whatever we see, we should be curious about the new things, to learn what is it, to understand about the new things. So then comes, when you have the curiosity, you will be able to observe the interesting new things. Then then comes automatically the guessing. When you have a curiosity, interest, then automatically the guessing comes, how it happens, how it is happening, why it is happening, how it can be made, why it can be made. So what are the uses of this? How we can apply it to our lives. So that is the guessing. Think of a reason why it happens. So it just the imagination things, hypothesis. Okay, then after guessing, you can put it to the test. Okay, experimental test, you can check with the guesses. Then concluding. So concluding means, so then after guessing you will test it, you will, after testing you will conclude it. So this is how exactly it is used, this is where it can be used. So this is how it will be applied in our daily lives. We will come to know that. So did your test through your guess right or wrong? So first, having the curiosity is the important thing. In the conclusion, what we'll get here? So this is the right or wrong. So this can be applied or not. This can be, where can be applied, where cannot be applied. So that is the important thing. So an experiment should be designed so that it can clearly tell a scientist if their hypothesis is wrong. So many times it goes wrong. Hmm? If we are doing 100 experiments, maybe 70 experiments are wrong, but 30 experiments are correct. They can be taken into process, updating to the every new generation, every new level. So science corrects itself. So what happens here, long ago people believed that the earth was flat. Then what happened, the scientists observed, they experimented and gathered the new evidences. So later what happens, they discover that the earth is round, the earth is sphere. So this shows that scientific knowledge improves when new evidence is found. When new evidence is found. So here they found that, they thought that the earth is flat, but with the observation, with experiment, experimentations with evidences, they found that the earth is sphere. Okay. Now let us look at another example. So many years ago, people traveled on foot, by horse, or by bullock carts. Then scientists and inventors developed bicycles, cars, trains, aeroplanes, now even a spacecraft. So today, human can travel into space because science continue to grow. So science never stops. Science continue to grow. So that's why we are updating in our life. The time consumption is very less in every work. Okay. Then the evolution of communication. How the communication has updated till now from the ancient days. So think about communication earlier. People sent letters that took days or weeks to reach someone. Okay. So today we can send messages instantly using mobile phones and the internet. Okay. This is another result of the continuous progress of science. So here what they have again, from smoke signals across valleys to carrier vision in the sky to instant video calls on smartphone anywhere in the world. Smoke signals were also there in that days, and we have observed in the movies the carrying letters in the pigeons legs and the letters and telephones, now the smartphones with the instant video calls, messages and everything. So here extra note here, Samuel Morse invented the telegraph in 1837, allowing instant long distance communication for the first time. Then science and health saves lives. Okay. So science also helps us to stay healthy. In the past, many diseases were difficult to treat. Then scientists worked hard to discover medicines and vaccines. Because of these discoveries, millions of lives have been saved. Okay. Now, how science keep evolving. Hmm. So science keeps us healthy. It creates life-saving medicines and vaccines. Innovations like stunts help patients to live longer, better lives by keeping blocked arteries open. We have we have observed that uh, whoever have the closed veins, they have put the heart patients, they are putting the stents for their longer lives. So what happens with that? The blood flow will be very easy. Okay. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam medicines, collaborated with medical specialists to create the Kalam Raju stent, making complex heart treatments cheaper. Okay. So next we have science in agriculture. Science in agriculture. Science follows simple processes. So what happens? Science. So what is a simple process here is observe something, ask questions, conduct experiments, collect evidences, draw conclusions, and share findings. Share findings. So, how science is helping in agriculture? So, plants prepare their own food. This lesson we have learned in the 7th class, the life process in plants. In life process in plants, we have observed that plants prepare their own food using sunlight. So, science helps farmers grow more food and teaches how to preserve it so it lasts longer. Okay, this is how science works in agriculture. Now, science and our environment. Science and our environment. When scientists discover new evidence, old ideas can change. This is why science is always improving. For example, scientists are now developing electric vehicles to reduce pollution. They are studying renewable sources of energy such as solar and wind power. They are also exploring space to learn more about other planets. Okay, so can you think of some scientific inventions that you use every day? Hmm? That you use every day? Can you think of some scientific inventions that you use every day? So we can say mobile phones, computers, televisions, electric lights, refrigerators, and internet. Isn't it? So these are all daily processes. So how science and our environment are connected together. Science helps us to protect our planet. We learn to dispose of batteries safely to prevent irreversible chemical damage. And we study sustainability to protect the earth for our future generation. So most of the times people forget to recycle the things we used and throw it on the streets. So this is very important to use the things which are recyclable. So here we have an extra note. Dead batteries should never be thrown in the household trash because their irreversible chemical changes can harm the earth. So here dead batteries we should not throw in the dustbins. Okay. So exploring the universe. We use to explore the stars, satellites in space, give us our GPS signals and weather forecasts every day. So scientists, they guess there will be heavy rain in next 1 week. So that will be possible because of the satellites or GPS signals. So here India's first indigenous satellite launch vehicle SLV-3 directed by Dr. Kalam sir successfully launched the Rohini satellite in 1980s. So we should learn about the satellites, how they are helping us in the our everyday life. Okay, so now all these inventions exist because scientists never stopped asking questions. So in the same way, we, the general peoples, common people, should also ask questions to ourselves, our teachers, our professors, okay, whoever knowledgeable person. At least we should gather the information from the phones. In that way, you can generate the curiosity within yourself. So here science is not only done by famous scientists, every scientist. So every time you observe, ask questions and try to find answers. So you are thinking like a scientist. Okay, that is very important. Suppose you notice that a plant near a window grows better than a plant kept in the dark room. So you may ask that time, why does this happen? Okay, what was our question? You notice a plant near the window grows better than the plant which is kept in dark room. So why does this happen? Why does this happen? Then you investigate and discover that Plants need sunlight. Plants need sunlight. So this is scientific thinking. This is scientific thinking. Okay. So here, world of science will continue to change in the future. You may see smarter robots, cleaner energy sources, faster transformation, and new discoveries in medicines and space exploration. Who knows? Who knows? One of you may become a scientist and make an important discovery someday. So in the same way, some really curious students have become a scientist. They are Newton, he found a gravity, and Madame Curie, radioactivity, Einstein, the relativity, and the Raman, light scattering, and the Abdul Kalam, the aerospace. So they are also a simple students. They had a curiosity within themselves. They found the answer for their curiosity. Okay, so the scientific method. What is the scientific method? How this process goes on? First, ask questions, then hypothesis. You assume. Hypothesis means you assume. Then design the experiment. Then collect the data, draw conclusions, then share a result so that people also can know about it and use in their daily lives. Okay, or else they also can make some improvisation with your assumptions or your questions. Okay, so daily life thinking. How cookware insulator stops heat. Okay, they conduct the heat. So what happens to the cookware? Why are pan handles made up of plastic? To stop the heat flow. Okay, we all have observed it. Now, shadows. How did early how did early humans tell time? By watching shadows move with the sun. So if you ask and you are if you go and ask your grandfather or great grandfather, they never used watches, wall clocks or wrist watches. They always told us timings by watching at the sun's shadows. Okay, so why are in the cookware, why are pan handles made up of plastics? So it is to stop the heat flow. Shadows. How did early humans tell time? By watching the shadows move with the sun. So how future technologies may happen? So we may have better electric vehicles, then smartphones connected to the artificial intelligence, then robots helping in surgeries and exploring the Mars. Okay. Now, so science is about asking the questions. Now I have some questions for you. Why is the sky blue? How do birds fly? Why do we have shadows? How do how does a pen work? Why are chairs four-legged? Why does a fan work? Okay, so these are my questions. So these are my curious questions. Do you know answer for these questions? So please comment it. Okay, kids need to talk to learn. Sharing ideas helps us process new information and discover patterns. So you should always share your ideas, technologies, or your curious questions. Okay, then so in the whole journey we discussed what is science. Okay, science, where all science is there. So science is there in our daily life, in transportation, in environment, in space, everywhere science is there. So science is a process, not just a facts. So everything is connected from ancient wheels to future rockets. Science evolves it helps us to protect our world. Okay, so we have to remember that science helps us to understand the world. Scientific knowledge grows with new evidences. Science improves our lives through inventions and discoveries. Science is always changing and developing. Curiosity and questioning are the curiosity and questioning are the keys to scientific progress. So, always keep asking questions, keep observing, and keep learning because the world of science never stops evolving. So, thank you, dear learners. Please visit again for the interesting videos and subscribe to the channel to get such a interesting videos. Thank you everyone.